Alrighty. Let's go ahead and hop in here and get this this guy going. So what I just did in the couple minutes while you guys are waiting was go through and total up all of the things that we're using in this line of questioning here. So before we start comparing and readjusting more numbers, what we're gonna do is go through and double check everything, because I was really tired when I made this. So we're gonna double check everything, make sure that everything's up to speed the way it's supposed to be, and then once we have everything up to speed, then we're gonna take a look at these numbers down low here, these guys here, to see how much copper ingot how many copper ore we're using, how many Deuterium ingots we're using, how much steel pipe we're using, how much aluminum we're using, how much rubber we're using, how much quartz we're using. The quartz are already up to 12,740. That is problematic, especially because nuclear power uses 4,222. So that is already too much quartz. If everything that we did is correct, it's too much quartz. So we have to cut back on that, likely using some kind of alternate, in addition to the alternate. Oh, sorry, that's right, I wasn't at Deuterium. Yeah, so that's too much. 12,000 quartz on top of the 4,000 using nuclear power. That's way too much quartz, right? That's more quartz than that's in the game, basically. All the quartz in the game would have to do everything to the right and completely ignore nuclear power. So I'm already using 5,000 in nuclear power. I can't afford to use, you know, that much here in this section of the game. So this is too much quartz for sure. So crystal oscillators are using about 3,400 of that. Raw quartz is using silica is using about 5,400 of that. This electromagnetic control rods aren't even accounted for. This is if we use this one instead. That's not even counted because this is for deciding which one we use. There's another 1,700 by radio control units. That's not that bad, so I'm not too worried about that. The biggest offenders are silica and crystal oscillators, mostly silica. Silica is a pretty big offender here, and that means high-speed connectors, which we're currently using 1,000 of, but this isn't equal to anything. So this is why I said we need to double check, because we don't have high-speed connectors equaling anything. That's just 1,000 that we put in to get rates. So here's high-speed connectors right there. This is why we check everything, because we only are using 220 high-speed connectors. So for some reason I had it using 1,000, but I don't have that many being used. If we run through this, I'm not seeing any high-speed connectors except for this number here, and then that's it. So we're probably chilling then on quartz. It's probably not even that big a deal. Yeah, just have it equal that. So that's only 2,520. Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, so 7,825, 7,825 plus the 5,000 from before. That's fastly approaching too much, but it's basically there. We're basically there. It's like right at the limit. Yeah, no, it's a little bit too much. Right, because that's the 5,000. I only added 15, right? So minus 15. It is too much. It's too much by about 210. But that's not that bad. Getting 210 less quartz isn't going to be that big a deal. So that's pretty manageable. But sec. So let's oh, you know what? There's not even this quartz either. So that means I definitely have to use this. I don't have a choice. That's AI limiters. Have to use AI limiters. We're not using that much Deuterium. For some reason, that's like no Deuterium. Yeah, we're not using like any Deuterium right now. So let's go through and double check all this top down and make sure that this is going the way it's supposed to be. And we'll try to assign maybe like a color code or something along the way. Maybe we'll do it with the text or something, and have it be a little bit less distractive than this. We can allow for some repeat colors if we do this this way. So let's go ahead and double up here again with the web browser. and head over to Satisfactory, the Wikipedia, and we'll start going from the top. Assembly Director Systems. Let's double check this, make sure we have everything we need. We already know supercomputers, adaptive control units. We already know it's a 2-to-1. So all of this is perfectly fine. I'm not going to worry about matching supercomputers and stuff like that. That's not that big a deal. This is all easy to tell. I know this is correct. That should be totally fine. Supercomputers looks like that's going to be totally fine too, to make 75 of them. Should not be that big of an issue. We could adjust this number, but I'm kind of liking this. I'm probably going to make less aluminum, which means more battery, so I could make more supercomputers. But computers are using crystal oscillators, and crystal oscillators are using a good amount of quartz, and we're so close to the limit that we probably need to not do that, or we need to start using an alternate for computers. So if we're gonna make more of these, which we really don't need to, because we're already making 75 per minute, and 75 per minute is kind of plenty, because it's gonna be used for the space elevator, right? And we need 4,000 of them, and 4,000 at 75 per minute is already like great. It's only gonna take like an hour for that to actually happen. Totally manageable. So we're gonna want to create, I'd say, 75 assembly director systems, 75 magnetic field generators, and then we can just get away with like 10 of the nuclear pasta and 10 thermal propulsion rockets, right? Because that's 100 minutes, which isn't that bad. That's only, oh sorry, whoops, divided by 60, divided by 60. That's only 1.66 hours. That's not that bad either. So in less than 2 thermal prop rockets, we're actually making like 30, because that doesn't use a lot of aluminum. So we can make like 30 of those guys. That's still just fine. So as long as we can have the copper to make 10 nuclear pasta, I'm chilling. I could get away with 5 if I really needed to, and take about 3 hours, but don't really want to do that. I'd love to have at least 10. So whoops, sorry, times 3 divided by 5. Whoops, come on, do the thing. Yeah, so it would take it'd take about three and a third hours. That's kind of a lot if I only do 5. So I think 10 is going to be a good number here. So 10 nuclear pasta, 75 director systems, 75 magnetic field generators, and then like 30 thermal propulsion rockets. That's kind of what we're aiming for here. And so knowing those numbers, from now on, we're just going to be trying to use alternates to make that work, and get this to shrink as much as possible. But we don't know exactly what alternates we need to use until we double check nuclear power, because we did just change the plutonium fuel rod recipe to use less aluminum, which we actually don't need to. We don't need less aluminum, because we have a lot of, now that we cut back on thermal propulsion rockets, I don't need to use less aluminum, because we have plenty of it. We have tons of it. So the only reason that we might need to change that, and then that would also give us more plutonium fuel rods per minute, which means if we ever decided to stay on plutonium power and actually use the fuel rods, then that would give us more power from that too, and that would be good. So since we have the aluminum, I think it's going to be worth it. So I think this is going to be actually the first change that we go back and do, because we're going from pressure conversion cubes, going from heat sinks and electromagnetic control rods and steel beams to pressure conversion cubes. And so we only need another 19 of those per minute. So if we were to go completely off of heat sinks and all that kind of stuff, which isn't in these calculations at all, and we were to go over here to pressure conversion cubes and add like another 19 pressure conversion cubes, then we can see the impact that would have on the save. And so that is putting us up to, ooh, that's using a lot of quartz, right? That we just went up to 8,891 quartz by adding on another 10 pressure conversion cubes. Oh, I'm sorry, 19 pressure conversion cubes. So yeah, that's a lot of quartz to use to make those pressure conversion cubes. That may be the reason to switch, because if we do that, I mean, we'd be making almost 20 of those a minute. But we have the aluminum to do that. Like, that's not an issue. 6218 out of 75, but this is That's actually doubling up right now. So we'd still have a lot of aluminum left over, because that aluminum is currently taken account into the nuclear recipe that this 7529 is subtracted from. So that's totally fine. The 20,000 coal, that's already kind of taken into account as well, so that's not as bad as it seems for 20,000 coal. That's more like 20,000 coal for most of the project, because that's most of the coal and nuclear is coming from those things for all the steel. So that would work. We still have tons of Caterium. The copper I am getting worried about, but that doesn't seem like it's that bad. It's going to determine a couple things. I think this is supposed to be ore up here and not ingots. So we're going to need to double check that. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be ore, not ingots. And this for circuit boards might be copper ore instead of copper ingots. So I need to double check that too to make sure. But the main thing is quartz. The quartz is what's going to do me in on these extra pressure conversion cubes here. Because that is what's, yeah, that's what's absolutely going to kill me, is the quartz. And it's because we need more radio control units, actually. I believe that's what's changing. If we go here, yeah, we need more radio control units, so that's not great. And then we probably need more silica. Yeah, we need a little bit more silica. We need more crystal oscillators, and we need more electromagnetic control rods, I think, too. Right? 125 before. No, still 125. So we don't need more electromagnetic control rods. If we did do it this way, we would absolutely need more we need 75 more electromagnetic control rods. So if we were to do that, that would potentially add another 630 quartz, but we don't have to use quartz, but it would use a lot more copper. And that's not great either, because we have the nuclear pasta now, and that's using a fuckload of copper. So that's kind of a rough one to not be able to use that quartz, which I already kind of can't. So that's not going super well. That's the only quartz that this would use. So this method is definitely using a lot more quartz. A lot more quartz. Like, this is going from like 8,000, right? 78. This is a couple hundred quartz. That's only a little bit too. You know, is it that much more quartz? 631. Wow, okay, that's like 430 quartz. And if I go up here and add more here, it was 7825. Yeah, 7825 all the way up to 8891. So that's 1,000 quartz versus the 360 quartz that it was using. So it's 706 more quartz to do it this way, which we can get around by using plastic circuit boards. So that's not the worst. I can't do anything about the silica. I can't do anything about the crystal oscillators. That's always going to use that much quartz, but I can change how many of those I'm using. Sometimes I can change that. So if I was to look at what's using crystal oscillators and go, can I not use these on this system? What would that be? Where are crystal oscillators? Oh, what did that? Oh, no, never mind. Where are you? Computers. That's what is using the crystal oscillators, is all the computers. And I don't know if I can't really cut back on computers. So let's see if I can not. I don't think I can. I think I have to use. I think I might be able to use less, because there's other recipes. Yeah, so I can use less crystal oscillators or no crystal oscillators if I use plastic, right? Because I'm definitely not using rubber. Rubber's more expensive than plastic. Yo, what's up, me the gamer? How you doing, man? It's late for you, isn't it? Isn't it like 5 a.m. or some shit like that for you, man? Go to bed. So 3 a.m. For sure. That's not that bad, but still. So if I want to use plastic, then that would work, but I'd have to use more circuit boards, and more circuit boards is going to be more quartz, because I'd be using 10 for every one computer out of 262 computers instead of 8 for every 3 on top of that. So that may not even be saving me quartz. Oh, you on vacation? Oh, for sure. All good. Cool. So this amount of circuit, because if I don't change computers and I get off Cryox, that's one thing. So instead of crystal oscillators, if I went straight to circuit boards, how much quartz would that be using? So this would be a lot more quartz. I mean, a lot more circuit boards, right? It'd be 262.5 divided by 2.5 times 25 per minute, which is 2,625 circuit boards per minute instead of that 700. So this 700 here, this J33 would now turn into 2625, and that would put me up to 3,461 raw quartz, which is definitely less quartz. Definitely less quartz. But how much plastic would I be using though if I put all of them on that? And this is where I kind of had that mix of why I had some on one recipe and one on the other. This is times 18, which would mean 4,725 plastic per minute, which I have actually handled before. That's not that bad. I've had a build with 6,600 plastic, and that wasn't that bad. So if I got off crystal oscillators for computers, that would save me a lot of quartz, about 1,500 quartz. Oh, the jacuzzi? Oh yeah, I saw on the Discord that you posted that, man. That was cool. So that would save me a lot on that, and so I could, yeah. What are crystal oscillators used in? Beacons, which I'm not doing. Computers, which I was doing but may not be doing anymore. I still need to make them. I definitely still maybe. Oh, I could make a couple of them though, or I could just buy some from the sink. This is so few, I could just buy some from the sink. Radio control units are using Cryox. Wait, what? Whoa, hold on. Mine aren't. Oh yeah, because I'm using the alternate for heat sinks and high-speed connectors. Snipes, what's up? I was in that until 11 p.m. and it was 14 degrees Celsius outside. Jesus Christ, dude. Fucking cold, man. So I don't need them for uranium fuel rods because I'm not using that alternate. Right? I don't think I am. Or even if I am, that's accounted for. I think I'm just using those. I don't think I'm using that one. I don't think I want to use the beacons. So no matter what, that's accounted for in my quartz already. This uranium. And I'm not using this alternate. I'm not using that standard recipe. Yeah, it's a lot of numbers, man. So I realistically, if I don't use computers, I don't need crystal oscillators. If I don't use that alternate, it's more circuit boards, but it doesn't matter because it's way less quartz. So as long as I don't use circuit boards to cut down on silica, then that's no big deal, because this silica is nothing compared to the crystal oscillator quartz. So it's way better to cut down on crystal oscillators. So if I can remove them completely, or at least remove them completely from this setup and run the standard computer, then you're fine. And you thought junior high was a pain in the ass? Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, this is like stuff I used to do for fun a while ago, is make stuff like this. So this is pretty easy for me. This is pretty tame. Okay, so that's what we're gonna have to do. This is a reasonable amount of plastic. I'm not worried about the iron. I'm not worried about the cable because it's more iron. We just figured out that using more circuit boards is completely fine. So we're gonna have to change the computer alternate into plastic and into that. The only other issue I'm worried about is a 3500 rubber, but that's not that bad. And I honestly don't think I can cut that at all. The only way I could cut that is if I use less heat sinks, but typically heat sinks are the best aluminum recipe. But I do have extra aluminum, so I could make some concessions in heat sinks for a more aluminum heavy build because I do have so much extra. So that could work out completely fine. So I can totally manage the 10 pressure conversion cubes per minute to make the plutonium the other way that we already have. Oh, that's a good point. That's already put in the budget. That's already put in this budget here. That nuclear budget is already assuming that other recipe for plutonium that we haven't changed. So I think what I need to do to make sure that I don't make Brango. I think what I need to do to make sure that I'm not messing this up even further before I start going and changing like my computer output and all that kind of stuff, which I think I'm gonna need to do anyway. I'm gonna make sure that I put everything on this page, and I mean everything. I am now 100% going to go and throw even my nuclear setup on this sheet and make sure that all of that is being taken account for, because I think that's the next step here to make sure that this is doing exactly what it's supposed to. And I think what I also need to do is potentially look at the iron I'm using as well. But I think I'm gonna do that in the last. This is for Satisfactory. Yeah. Because the iron's not that bad. The stuff that's more limited is the quartz, the aluminum, and the deuterium, and the copper. That is like 100% way more limited. So, that is what I need to focus on. So let's go ahead and grab. We'll get rid of that for a minute. We won't need it. Let's go ahead and grab our other stuff over here. And go to our uranium and our other stuff over here, because we're gonna need all of this, and we're gonna copy this over to the everything tab. So I'm gonna drag this over here, and so we're gonna deal with everything real quick, and we're gonna grab this stuff from uranium, and we're gonna get all this stuff accounted for. Again, I'm not super worried about the iron, because we have a lot of iron, so it's really like not gonna be a problem. So I'm not super worried about it. So the oh yeah, we'll grab all this. Whoops, that's cutting. I want to copy all of this. And we're not too worried about all. Actually, that's all nothing that we're worried about. We don't have to worry about beacons at all. The beacons can fuck off. That's just taking up space. It's literally nothing but iron. This is nothing but uranium. We're not worried about that. But the cryox and the electromagnetic control rods, that's what we're worried about. That's what we want to worry about. The silica here for encased industrial cells and the quick wire, that is going to be important. So that needs to be a thing. But okay, well, I guess I'll bring that back then. Do. So we worry about that. And then crystal oscillators, we're using the rubber method for some reason. I don't know why I would be doing that. So I don't know why I'm using that crystal oscillator alternate. I don't want to do that. I'm going to stick with this method here that doesn't use rubber. What? Why was I doing that? Why would I want to use rubber in AI limiters? Was it less? Oh, it's less quartz. That's why. It's way less quartz. It's actually like a lot less quartz. So it's be 36 divided by 2. It's 18. It's about half the quartz. That's why. Because I was getting low on quartz, and I was like, man, how am I going to cut back on quartz? And it was because it's half of the quartz. That's why I wanted to do it. But it also uses rubber, which is not great. So I could cut back on how much crystal I'm using, but that would cut back to half. But then, you know, that's the same as just using the plastic, and plastic is way cheaper than rubber. So it's not a whole lot of rubber, right? Because I'm only making, let's say, 300 crystal oscillators total. You're at 300 crystal oscillators. Is 300 times 7. That's not that bad on rubber. But 2100 rubber is like, that's still not great, especially because I'm using 2000 rubber here and 1100 rubber here. So putting that all the way up to like 5000 rubber is not a good idea. That's going to be way too much rubber. So I can deal with the plastic. It's just going to be like a pain in the ass to do that. It's a lot of refineries, but I can do it cheaply. At least not when it comes to oil, not necessarily power. It's going to be a little expensive on power, but it's still overall a good benefit. So it's just going to be a bigger pain in the ass, and I'll show you how I'm going to handle that to get like the most plastic possible out of oil. But yeah, so that is definitely. I'm gonna stick with this to not use the rubber. I don't really have it in the budget. If I can use less heat sinks and more aluminum, then that's one thing that could totally work. But otherwise, no. I gotta make sure that that I'm not using any rubber if I don't need it, and this doesn't need it, so that's gonna change. Electromagnetic control rods, yeah, this is gonna be important. 840 of them. That's that's a lot of electromagnetic control rods. And 840 stators, 420 high-speed connectors. That's already on here already. I think quick wire. I don't think that's even a thing on here yet. As like a thing like down here or something to like connect all the quick wire to. Does any of this even use quick wire? A lot of this should use quick wire, but I don't even see any quick wire in here. I don't know how we managed to use nothing that uses quick wire, but we did a pretty good job at doing that. That's why we have so much Caterium left over. None of this uses quick wire. Electromagnetic control rods do, but that's a pretty good job. So what I was using, which met? It must have been the AI limiter. Yeah, it was the AI limiter. That was the method I was running for copper sheets and that, because there's no way. Yeah, I wasn't running this. This is too much quartz. So I have to run the electromagnetic control rods as AI limiters and stators. Have to. So a 3-to-2 on stators and a 1-to-1 on AI limiters. So that's what we're gonna have to do here. So let's rewrite electromagnetic control rods, because this is all just a bunch of crap. I don't really have a choice. I have to. I don't have the quartz. So yeah, I think we're gonna have to just go ahead and say that we don't have the quartz and move on from there and use that assumption, because I'm pretty sure that assumption's correct. So AI limiters. So this is gonna be equal to that. Oh, my desk is icky. Ew. Okay, hold on, guys. I gotta clean this. All right. Sorry, I had a cup break on my desk, and I thought I cleaned it, but I guess I didn't. So it was kind of annoying. Pictures are on the Discord, by the way, if you want to see how the cup broke, because it broke horizontally while I was holding it. The bottom just like fell out. It was weird as fuck. Happened at the end of my last stream before I went to bed. And then woke up and had more work to do, so we kept at it. Stators. That's easy. So stators. Where's it? There we go. Grab you. Grab you. You are equal to parentheses. That's divided by 2 times 3. Not 9. 3. Yep. Divided by 2 times 3. Perfect. So that is now the number of stators. And then we'll go ahead and grab this guy and make you equal that plus that. We'll go ahead and grab AI limiters and make you equal this, because that is the only person using AI limiters. And then this is the copper ingots are already, I think, equaling to that. Yep, perfect. So this just needs to get dyed the correct color. That's for Caterium ingots. And this is for copper ingots. There we go. Oh. Just like that. And it's Caterium. Yeah, Caterium's adding up to that too. That's good. Oh, come on. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Those are the only two places using Caterium. And copper. That green one can go away. We're not using that one anymore. So, there we go. Okay, cool. So that's that. And let's see what's going on here real quick. So we were going and adding this stuff in, right? So that was the electromagnetic control rods we have to add in. So that's going to be another 840 of these guys. That's not going to be fun. So plus another 840. What's the damage on that? That's a lot of AI limiters, which is a lot of Caterium and a lot of copper. Oof, that's a lot of copper. That's 15,000 copper ore just doing that. But we do technically have that. I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. This is like everything now. So we already, there's like 30,000 copper ore in the game. And so as long as plutonium doesn't use 15,000 copper, which I can check, I don't think it does. No, it uses 800. Then we should be totally fine. So I'm hopeful for this actually working out. Because we have the high-speed connectors, we have the stators. That's already accounted for. This is already accounted for in the thing. For some reason, oh, so this was using the quick wire and silica version instead of the AI limiter version. So that's interesting. I think it was less quick wire, like significantly less quick wire, but I just don't have the silica. So unless I absolutely need to do it this way, I don't think we're going to. So fuck that. So this is all going to change. So that's gonna that's changing. That's interesting. I didn't think that would change. Then we're doing plutonium fuel rods, and we're gonna keep this one because we have the aluminum. It doesn't save that much more aluminum, so we have the aluminum. So we're gonna do that. It only saves like 840 aluminum. So to spend the 840 aluminum, totally fine. We're not worried about concrete. We're not worried about uranium waste and non-fissile uranium. We are worried about silica. So this, to make the non-fissile uranium, to use the silica and nitric acid and the sulfuric acid, we are worried about some of that stuff. So this is something we're going to keep track of. And then we have, on this end, the pressure conversion cubes, and pressure conversion cubes are already part of the wet work. So I don't need to worry about anything below this because we already have pressure conversion cubes as part of this equation. So as long as all of that stuff is hooked up properly, then it won't matter. And just adding another 10 to this pressure conversion cube here will be totally fine. So right here where we have pressure conversion cubes, everything else is already taken care of. And then the encased plutonium cells, I don't think we're even really keeping track of, but the non-fissile uranium waste we are. Because this stuff is... The only thing that matters on that tree is this for the silica, and this isn't changing because I'm definitely making that much nuclear waste. That's already like a given based off of these 50.4 uranium fuel rods that will absolutely produce that much non-fissile uranium, which means that we have to use that much uranium waste with the rest of the uranium waste that's being made of the 2520 in order to turn that into non-fissile uranium. The only way to get more out of that for the non-fissile uranium, to make more of the plutonium rods, this is the way I can get up to 22.4, is to run the silica with the sulfuric acid and nitric acid. And I don't think I have the silica to do that, but I do have the sulfur because we're using less aluminum. So I could do it this way if I have room for the silica. But the issue is how much silica is that? And also how much sulfuric acid is that, because that means less batteries too. So we'll have to, that's going to matter a good bit as well. So if we have the 2520 non-fissile uranium, and that will be all of it, divided by 50 is 50.4, which means 50.4 times 15 which is 756. That's not even that bad. We're using that much right now on this method. So it's the same amount of sulfuric acid. Exact same amount. Which is weird because you would think it wouldn't be, but I'm doing this less times. So this is you know, that's another thing to think about too. It's the same ratio of oh, this is 20 to 6, this is 20 to 5, and I'm doing that less. So that's weird. But this should be, yeah, so that should be a thing. So no big deal. So that is 7, so yeah, good, awesome. Okay, and then 50.4 times 25 per minute means set 1260 silica, which isn't that much raw quartz. Right? Times 11.25. That's only 540 quartz. So if I can find 540 quartz, I can get even more plutonium fuel rods. But that also means, by the way, that this would have to go up to 22.4 instead of 18.9, which means way more pressure conversion cubes, which takes up a lot of quartz. So it's not just, you know, 540 quartz if I make 22.4 plutonium fuel rods. It's like 3,000 more quartz if I make 22.4 uranium fuel rods, because it's only 540 to make more uranium fuel rods, or rather to make more non-fissile uranium to allow myself to make 22.4. So this is the note that I'm going to add down here, is that it's 540. Here, I'll grab this black one here. Is that it's 540 quartz, raw quartz. We'll put RQ to make 22.4 plutonium rods. We'll just do plut rods, right? And then that is going to have to come down to this about those pressure conversion cubes, because this is not that much more, right? If we just add 540 quartz, then we're chilling, and we know that everything else is the same, or that anything else that isn't the same won't matter, because, you know, nitrogen gas is really fucking available. I'm not worried about it. So 18.9 versus 22.4 is a very big difference, right? If we wanted to look at this raw quartz here, if we just went from the difference between 22.4 and 18.9, which is only like 3 point something, 3.5. Okay. So if we add 3.5 to this, then that... Oh, come on, really? Then that goes from 78.25. That's 1,000 more quartz. 8,022 minus 78.25 is... Oh, no. Hold on. That's only 197 more quartz. Really? Yeah, 725 and 822, 197 more quartz. That is not nearly as bad as I thought. So yeah, so it's 540 raw quartz to make. So that's just be 540 plus 197. So it's 737 raw quartz more to make 22.4 plutonium rods. That seems like it's totally worth it. That's a lot more power per minute. And that is now max nuclear power that you could possibly do because of the hard cap of how much uranium's in the game. So that seems doable. That seems really doable. Right? So this would be now another plus 22.4 pressure conversion cubes. That's a lot of pressure conversion cubes. That puts us up to 9,000 quartz. But if that's for everything in the game, that's totally fine. You know? It's not quite everything, because there's some stuff here, but it's a lot of it. Tux is meowing at me pretty hard right now. Ran up to me when I turned around to give her attention and on, ran away, looking at me again. Like something's wrong. What? I don't know. Alright, well, I guess my cat's just being weird. So anyway, this could be doable. Basically, the amount of quartz that we have here could be very, very doable. So let's keep going here, because that is looking optimistic. That it's only another 737 raw quartz to make the max plutonium versus what I'm doing right now. That sounds good. comparative to making the 18.9. Now, it's a lot less quartz if I go back down to the other method, right? If I go back down to this, to 12.6, it is a lot less quartz. But like we talked about before, I don't think power is where I want to make that concession. So I'm gonna go all in here and make the 22.4 plutonium rods per minute as well, on top of the max uranium, as you know, and do it that way. I think that's the way we're gonna do this. So let's do that, and we'll do it that way. Right, so we're gonna have to change the non-fissile uranium recipe, so let's do that right now, because this is now using... Why does this even have silica? Wait a minute, what the hell? I'm confused. Oh, it's because this is where it has to happen. That's why I'm already doing that method and using the sulfuric acid and using the copper. I'm not doing this one. I am doing this one already. That's why it's the same amount of... oh, fuck. Okay. So I'm already making... Oh, so no, I would have to make more, right? It still would be the 540 plutonium, and then that would still be 22.4 pressure conversion cubes. So this is still correct. It's just not the whole truth, because I'm also using more aluminum, because I have to use this alternate recipe for instant plutonium cell as well. So that I'm not done if I do it this way. I have to go this route too for the instant plutonium cell, and which now means that plutonium cells are something I have to keep track of, which is over here for encased plutonium cells. This is now something that's on my radar that I have to keep track of for all this, because it's not using concrete anymore, it's using aluminum, which I do have. I do have the extra aluminum, so that could be totally fine. Could be totally fine. So this is now up to 22.4, because we are doing that, which is making this 22.4 pressure conversion cubes. And then it's gonna make it so many encased plutonium cells, which I think it's gonna be more for sure. How many more, I'm not totally positive of. Let's see. So it's gonna be 22.4 divided by 0.5 times 10, so 448 encased plutonium cells. Right, and then this is where we want that to happen, and then this recipe is changing because we're not using that, we're using non-fissile uranium. Yeah, we're using non-fissile uranium, so 448 divided by 10 times 75. Whoa, wait, what? I can't make that many. I don't have that much non-fissile uranium. I'm making the most non-fissile uranium I can at 22. That's a lie. 2250 is the most. Oh, no, it's not the most I can make. That's not all the uranium waste. Ah. Okay, this is going to be more expensive than I thought, because this isn't all the uranium waste. Because now all the uranium waste, which is... Here, let me split this back again. All the uranium waste is 2520, so divided by 37.5 is 67.2. So that's how many times I have to do this recipe, which means that I'm making 3360 non-fissile uranium. So this is going to go up. This is going to be a lot more quartz. Yeah, this is going to be a lot more quartz to use all of the uranium waste. Okay, this is going to create some problems, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. So it's 67.2 times 25, which is way more silica, which is going to use way more quartz. Way more quartz. This is going to be 1680. But silica's not that bad on quartz. It's really not that bad. So I'm not too worried about it. And then 67.2 times 15 means 1008 nitric acid. Yeah, that's really not that bad. That's a very reasonable uptake in nitric acid and a very reasonable uptake in sulfuric acid. So I can live with that. Again, we're not worried about nitric acid, so we're going to get rid of that. but we are worried about sulfuric acid, and we're not going to worry about how much more quartz it was because I've decided this is the way I want to go. I'll make concessions everywhere else. So this is what matters the most. This is what matters the most. This is all doing its thing. So now this, we need to worry about how much aluminum this is making, because this is now making 448 non-fissile uranium per minute, or 448 encased plutonium cells. So it'd be 44.8 times 10, which is 448 aluminum casings per minute. That is not that bad at all. That's basically nothing. That's not that bad. And then 22.4, no, not encased plutonium cells. This is 3,060 non-fissile uranium. That's what that's for. So that's not even that bad, because that many casings is, again, that recipe is divided by 112.5 times 150. It's 600 aluminum ingots. That's nothing. 600 aluminum ingots, I can live with that. We already have more than that up here that we saved from not making as many of the thermal propulsion rockets. So for that much more aluminum, it's not that big a deal. I'm more worried about the quartz. This is exactly what I meant about, like, okay, we can handle the aluminum, but the quartz, that's a lot more silica. So that's not going to be great. But again, if we're going to make concessions, we should do it everywhere else, not here. And there's other ways to cut back on quartz and stuff like that. So we should be okay. I think we're changing our computer method, which is going to cut like 3,000 quartz out. So that's totally fine, because plastic is going to be easier to deal with than all that quartz. Because I found a way to make plastic very cheap, so I'm not too worried about it. I can still make like 6,000 plastic and 2,500 rubber, and still come away with like 23,000 fuel. So if I have to change that to like 4,000 rubber and 4,000 plastic, I should still be able to come away with about like 19,000 fuel, and that's going to be great. And then I should, if I make less aluminum ingots with sulfur, I can turn some of that fuel into turbo fuel, and then that'll be even better. So I wasn't originally going to do that because I wanted to use all of the sulfur for batteries and stuff like that. But if I'm making less aluminum, I'm already making a good amount of batteries. So I might make another like 10 batteries per minute, which won't use that much extra sulfur. And if I cut back on aluminum enough, then I won't have to worry, and I'll still have enough sulfur left over to make a decent amount of turbo fuel. And turbo fuel will make up for the plastic and plastic and rubber that I'm having to make, instead of making everything into fuel. Because if you made everything into fuel, you can get like 30,000 fuel, but that's kind of excessive, and that would take a ton of power generators. So using some of that oil for like plastic and rubber is not that bad, and this is pretty minimal when it comes to like what I could be doing instead. To like, if I wanted to max out oil on just plastic and rubber and not use any of it for power, which I think would be kind of silly, I could use a lot more than like 8,000 total of each. Sorry, 8,000 total of both. That's that could be a lot higher. So this is definitely a minimizing build on that kind of thing. But anyway, so back to plutonium. That actually handles plutonium just fine, and then supercomputers and everything else is already in that equation. So this is now everything. A lot of this stuff over here is Ron, which is totally fine. We'll have to re-talk about that, but this is now perfect. This is now everything. This is now with all this stuff on the bottom, this is my entire nuclear setup with the resources that we're worried about. This is everything else, that all the other goals that we're trying to make, which is the assembly director systems, the thermal propulsion rockets, and the nuclear pasta. We do need to add in the magnetic generators, but that's going to be more dependent on how much iron we have left after all this versus anything else. So once we're done with this phase, we do need to go through and figure out how much iron we're using, because that is going to be a factor. It's just not going to be an important factor right now. Once all this is perfect, then I'm going to worry about alternate recipes to make the iron work out, and go from there. And if I need to, then what I can also do is take all my copper sheeting and run that through another alternate to reduce the copper ingots, so that I can use actual copper wire instead of iron wire if I really need to, because there's an impressive amount of wire that has to get made, and I'm using all of it for iron wire. So that's going to be a pretty big thing here. But if I wash every iron ore in the game, then I can more than double its output, and there's like 80,000 iron ore. So realistically, the main thing is just going to be refineries to wash the iron, you know, and then it's just going to be a lot of water, but that's not the worst thing if it means I can make a fuckload of stuff. So that's kind of like what I'm signing up for. I have to do that. I can't like make a fuckload of stuff and not use water, because if I don't use a fuckload of stuff, then like there's nothing I can really do about, you know, the water usage. You know, it's just kind of how it goes. You know, if you want to make a ton of stuff, you have to wash it. Like there's no way to get around it, like at all. Like you have to. This is really more of I do want to have this changeable, but for the most part this is not going to be a changeable input. But that's kind of okay here. So we're gonna have pressure conversion cubes, which yeah, this is just gonna start to equal that plus this, because this is an easier whoops, not that one, that one. Whoops. Yeah, don't do that. We don't need that. Pressure con cubes, right? And then so this is just equal to that because it's 22.4. And then we need encased plutonium cells. There we go. And this is equal to that times 48. Sorry, 44.8, I think. Nope. What's the recipe again? Oh, times 20. Times 20. That's what it is. Okay, times 20. So now this can go away. And then we have encased plutonium cells up next, which are using the non-fissile uranium. So we'll grab you and have that do encased plutonium cells. And then that's using non-fissile uranium, which we're not worried about, and then aluminum casings. So this is just going to be equal to that. We'll bold it. And then we're going to grab you here for aluminum casings. And aluminum casings, that was plutonium cells. The casings is 1-to-1, so this is just equal to that. And then the aluminum casings go to aluminum ingots, which is this here. And this is equal to the parentheses of this divided by 112.5. multiplied by 150, and then we'll have that do the thing, and then this over here just now has to add in this, and we get 7,094, and we're making 10,400, so that is totally fine so far, not an issue. And that's actually all the aluminum too, so that is 100% fine. This is because we're now cutting back on thermal propulsion rockets, because we were making like 50 of these. You can see if we made 50 of these, then this is not going to work. Well, actually, why does that still work? Why does that? Oh, okay, that still works. I don't know why that still works, but it shouldn't. But it does. It probably won't work with quartz, but it does work with aluminum. So that's surprising. That if we wanted to stretch our quartz out more, we could totally make more. But again, the less aluminum we use, is the better, because then we can just turn that into turbo fuel, and that's good too. So that's no big deal. So that's a good thing as well. Encased plutonium cells, that is okay. That's gone now. You need to go over here. Encased cells, I'm gonna put down here. That's kind of where this fits more. We're not worried about the uranium. We're not worried about the sulfur. Oh, actually, yeah, we are. Yeah, I need to worry about the sulfur. The uranium, we already know we're maxing out, so that doesn't matter. But this is encased uranium cells, and this is oh shoot, how many was that? I don't remember. Hold on. 1680. Okay. Oh, come on. I didn't even do that right. Get your new cells. So 1680. I just got a text real quick too. I'm gonna go check that. Anyway, sorry guys. We had a quick call with Kate. For some reason I heard the text go up, but I didn't hear the phone ring. So she gave me a call and she needed to know if we need anything from the store, and we did. So had to handle that. Anyway, we are going back at it with this. So we've got encased plutonium cells and aluminum casing and aluminum ingots. That's being handled just fine. Electromagnetic control rods are already being handled somewhere else, so this we don't need to worry about, because that's doing its thing. But this is a thing that we have to worry about, and this is a thing we have to worry about as well. So let's go ahead and grab this, and we'll have this be the uranium fuel rods, and this will end up being 50.4. This is also something that we're going to be entering in. Well, really, this is standard, so we don't have to change this number, but I'll have it be an input just in case. And this is not going to take any of this, so that's one thing. We'll have a whoops, that's supposed to be command copy as well, so we can copy the non-fissile uranium up here too, because I think I'm going to have that. Honestly, I'll probably have that down here with the silica. I'll probably put that down here in this row. That sounds more important like that. So this can go away. This will be the last thing up top. So that's going to be encased uranium cells. Oh my god. Yes, that is how you spell cells. Thank you so much. And this will be equal to this. Honestly, I'm not even going to worry about what this is equal to, because I'm not going to change this number. So it can just be 1680. And then this can just be equal to that. Just to have some safekeeping, a little bit of safeguarding in there. But this is going to be 50.4. That's not changing. And so is this. This is likely not going to change, but this is much more expensive because of the pressure conversion cubes. So if I need to have it go back down to 18.9, I want to know what the impact of that will be. So that's kind of important as well. So, and that's one of the reasons I want to know what this is doing. But that 18.9 also means different recipe as well. So it's going to be kind of hard to figure out the true impact of that. It's probably going to be something I have to calculate myself. But I kind of already did. So I do kind of already know how much that's going to be as a difference, because my very first plan was to do that at 18.9. So I already have that calculation there already. So this probably won't change either. But just in case, you know, that's kind of how we want to handle this. And so we're going to need another set here for this, because we also need the electromagnetic control rods. Electromag cont rods. And this is another 840, which we already know is going to be a thing. So this is going to equal over here. It's going to be plus this for the 840, which is going to be a huge jump to everything that we're doing, because it's now almost 1,000 per minute we have to make, which is crazy. And then this is going to be the crystal oscillators, or the cryox, that we have to make. And this is going to be 50.4. And that's going to be a pretty big dent on what's going down. Oh, and then, oh, this is non-fissile uranium, so that needs to be a thing over here too. Okay, and so crystal oscillators are now over here. And this is just equal to that, but it's going to be equal to this plus that. But we're changing the computer setup. So we're only going to be making the 50.4 crystal oscillators, because this is too much raw quartz. So this is actually going to change to just this, because we have to do plastic. Have to do plastic in order for this to work. So computers are going to have to change, because this recipe doesn't work anymore. So that'll be a thing. The circuit boards are still going to be a thing as well, but and we still have to make that many computers, but that recipe is just going to have to change. And then over here we have the non-fissile uranium and the uranium cells that are all taking silica, sulfur, and quickwire. This is taking silica, sulfur, and uranium waste. So we're not worried about the uranium waste. That's a thing that we don't have to worry about. So the non-fissile uranium is a thing. And so this is 3,360. And that is going to go into silica, which is going to make 1,680 silica. And so our silica number right here is going to have to be this plus this now for silica, and we'll have another number added to that in a minute. So it's going to add a good amount of stuff there. And then we have sulfuric acid, which is just a 1-to-1 of sulfur to sulfuric acid. So there's that as well. This isn't changing, so don't have to worry about that, but that's going to be a thing we have to keep track of. So I'm going to go ahead and put that as maybe this real quick so that I can find it later, because that will matter. Same thing with the sulfur. That's going to matter, but that's not what's going to go yet, so we're not too worried about that at the moment. So this is 1260 silica, so let's get you here to make 1260. Whoops. That's the wrong way around. Copy you over there. Have this silica guy now equal that plus that. That's good to go. Sulfuric acid. We'll just do this here. Change that to sulfur. And 2100. And that's good to go. And then we have quick wire, which I honestly don't know where any quick wire is right now, but whoops. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll put this down as quick wire. And this is 6300 quick wire. And I honestly think this is the only thing making quick wire. I don't think I've seen anything else that we're using that actually is using quick wire right now. Oh, AI limiters, right? Oh yeah, this is using quick wire, but this is a thing here where I already put it to Katerium ingots. So that's weird. So this is gonna have to change. We'll put this up here into quick wire. And then we'll have this guy up here to handle quick wire. And that'll be equal to all the other stuff. And then that will have to be Katerium ingots after that. Right? And then this Katerium ore can now, instead of equal G29, this can now equal G44. Or is that 43? No, 44. Oh no, 46. Yeah, there we go. So there we go. So that would be that instead, because this is going to change. That's a weird way to do the Katerium stuff. So we'll handle it that way instead. Oh, let's hope that save didn't just crash everything. That made it not respond. So give me a minute. While that's happening, I'm going to get some lotion real quick. It's still not responding, so we'll have to see how long that goes for. There we go. Just came back. So, this overall, I'm really liking the way that the spreadsheet's coming out. I know it's a huge mess, and you guys are probably having a decently hard time following along. So I appreciate you guys just kind of rolling with it and letting me kind of just take off and do my thing, because it does help a lot to just be able to run this like no one's paying attention. So because it does make sense to me. I know you guys might be like a little overwhelmed by this, especially maybe at the speed that it's happening, but this is just kind of how my brain works and how fast it tends to run. So if that's too fast, I'm sorry. If it's too slow, then fucking awesome. I'm glad you're keeping up and glad you're you know, getting this. But if you're a little too far behind, once all this formula setting up is done, then it's going to get a lot easier to follow, because I'm going to get to slow down a lot more. But this work is going to take so long if I do it slow that I just don't want to do it that slow. It's just going to take way too long. So this is the stuff that matters more this way. You know, it's better to do. Gotta trust for that kind of thing. So quick wire, this is equal to that times 20, and then we have copper sheets, which are a whole nother thing that I'm gonna have to account for as well. So copper sheets are equal to that times 5. Super easy. So these guys need to be a thing. Quick wire can now be equal to this and this. So we're using 25,600 quick wire per minute, which is a fucking lot of quick wire. And then this can now be copper sheets, which is now using 4,825 per minute, into copper ingots, and copper sheets to ingots is a 2-to-1, I believe. 2-to-1, because we're not using the steam press because we don't need to yet. Unless we do need to, then we absolutely will. So other than that, it's still 2-to-1, so we're chilling. And now computers need to be a thing as well. So let's go ahead and grab computers, and we'll go ahead and change this recipe over to the other method. So circuit boards are now going to be that times 10, because it's 10-to-1. So there's that. It's now, instead of J33, this is more like J25. Nope. 27. 29. There we go. Okay, so we got that. And then we've got cable and screws, which we're not worried about. And then we have plastic, which we are worried about. And this is going to be equal to that times 18, because we're using that many computers. And so this plastic bit now needs to go into black and blue so that we know that's plastic. So we're using about that much plastic. We're using about this much rubber. And we're just going to change this guy to plastic. And we'll have U equal U up there. So have it down in a nice spot. So we're using a good amount of oil. That is a good amount of oil. But with the way that I am running the plastic setup, I'm only going to have to run, like, it'll be cheaper than you think for the plastic, but the rubber is a little pricey, and I do want to cut back on that. So if I have the aluminum, which it looks like I do, then I'm going to use as few heat sinks as possible, and that'll cut back my rubber a lot. So the 4,000 plastic I can live with, the 3,600 rubber I can't. So that's what we're going to cut back on. So the less rubber, the better. Rubber is way more expensive than plastic. So that is what I want to do. Now, granted, some of you might be like, okay, how is it more expensive? Because the main recipe I'm going to show you, I'll just talk about that right now. The main recipe for crude oil, right? It's, you literally get more, like if you do this method, you literally get more plastic than you do, actually it's the same amount, huh? But you get more heavy oil residue, right? So this is what I mean about how, like, so why is plastic cheaper when I get less heavy oil residue, right? Well, you have to do like 5 different fucking steps to get it to be cheaper, but it can be cheaper, right? The first step is to use the polymer resin alternate to just get polymer resin off the bat, right? Polymer resin and heavy oil residue. That is the first step. The second step is to also use the crude oil and heavy oil residue method to get more polymer resin this way, because this heavy oil residue will get mixed with water to make diluted fuel. So those are the 2 steps you're using to get cheaper plastic. The heavy oil residue recipe, in order to make as much heavy oil residue as possible, so you can make as much fuel as possible, because it's more fuel than making it straight from crude oil. And then the polymer resin attached with the other polymer resin will allow you to go from polymer resin to rubber, and then rubber plus fuel into plastic. And that makes it unbelievably cheap, because you're doubling the output, right? So 6 crude oil is enough to turn that 13 polymer resin. So 6 crude oil on 13 polymer resin will get in a 1-to-1 polymer resin into rubber. And this is why you go into rubber and not into plastic, right? Because that polymer resin becomes a 1-to-1 straight into that oil product versus a 6-to-2 for turning it into plastic. So 13 polymer resin becomes 13, not necessarily 13 rubber, but basically 13 rubber, right? And that's all off of 6 crude oil. And then that 13 rubber combined with fuel, that 13 rubber right here with 13 fuel turns into 12 plastic, all off of 6 crude oil, right? That's all that happened, because you're making a ton of fuel from the other alternate with the heavy oil residue, right? And so you're getting around like 13 polymer resin, and then you're turning that into rubber, and then you're turning the rubber and the fuel into twice as much plastic. So that is why plastic is cheaper than rubber, because I can get way more plastic than I can with plastic. And because plastic is so expensive, if I wanted to make my plastic stretch the same way that rubber would, I'm spending even more fuel to get that turned back into rubber. And I could try that method, but that's a lot of refineries. And so what I've been doing is, instead of spending more fuel and having to make more, the more fuel that I spend, the worse. So I just keep some of the rubber from the polymer resin step, from polymer resin to rubber. I keep some of that rubber back, and I don't turn it into plastic, and I use that as this method here for getting my 3,000 rubber per minute, and then I use the fuel to use the extra rubber to turn half of that rubber, or half of the amount of plastic that I would need from rubber plus fuel. So I probably could go another whole step and make the rubber off of the plastic back into fuel, but I think that would honestly just use more fuel because it's a 2-to-1 ratio. And so if I'm using half as much rubber to make plastic, and then I'm using that plastic to make, because that plastic would make a 1-to-1, wouldn't it? Right? That is the thing, because that plastic would make it's a 1-to-1, or rather it's a 1-to-2 here. So if I'm using a half of my rubber, half of the no, it's not half. That's the wrong way to think about it. It's not half of my rubber, right? So 6 crude oil is turning into 13 rubber. 13 rubber would turn into 12, or 13 plastic, and then 13 plastic could turn into 26 rubber. So that would work, but I'd be using 12 fuel to do it. And that's not that bad, because that's the follow, because 6 fuel would turn into 13 polymer resin. 13 polymer resin plus water would turn into 13 rubber. Then 13 rubber would turn into 13 plastic with fuel, and then with 13 fuel, and then with another 13 fuel, that 13 plastic would turn into twice as much rubber. So for 20, yeah, so that would be the better route to go. It's a lot of refineries though. It is a lot of refineries, but that would be the cheaper way to do it too. If I can't by any means get that rubber down, and I'm not making enough fuel, then I'll do that. But I honestly think I'm making plenty. So as long as I can get the plastic cheap, because plastic's way more expensive than rubber, doing it the short way, that doing the long way for plastic and the medium way for rubber, I think is going to be the best route to go. I don't think I want to go the long way for both. That's just way too many refineries. And on top of that, it would start cutting into more fuel, which, not that it's a lot of fuel, but it's enough that I don't really want to have to do that. So, and we'll probably use the turbo fuel alternate to use the fuel and compacted coal as well, because I don't think I'm going to use turbo fuel the other way, because this is petroleum coke. That's a no. And we could use heavy oil residue instead, depending on how it's more or less for turbo heavy fuel versus turbo fuel. But this would be less refinery, so that would be good too. Because 5 oil, no, this is more, because 5 oil residue is turning into 4 fuel, but this is only 3 heavy oil residue for 5 fuel, because I'm using diluted fuel. So this is better to use fuel and compacted coal, because it's the same amount, it's less coal as well, which means less sulfur, and it's less heavy oil residue because I'm using diluted fuel. So this is the best turbo fuel recipe for me, because it stretches it the most. And this uses both, which isn't good at all, because this is using 1 plus 4, so it's 5 heavy oil residue to make 6. This is using 3 to make 5. That's not a good ratio. Plus, this is using another oil product too, so this is not good. So it makes more per minute for sure, and that's okay for some things, but not what I want to do here. So the turbo fuel this way is going to be the method here. So because we should have extra sulfur lying around when we're done with this. So yeah, that's how that is going to work. And that's looking pretty good. Now I need to go through and double check some more things. So this should all be totally fine. This we've gone through and checked a bunch. I don't need to check it again. This is all great. That's working, no big deal. So this stuff is what's up next. Encased industrial beams. And that's working out just fine, because that's steel pipe doing the steel pipe things. So that's good. Where is steel pipe? Oh, it's up here. Oh, because it just goes straight into coal. That's why. So there we go. So there's the steel pipe. That's steel pipe there. That's doing okay. This is now doing okay. This is doing okay. This is doing okay. This is doing okay. That's been fine for a minute now. Heat sinks. I'm gonna actually move down here. That makes more sense. Yeah. A lot of heat sinks. Motors, that's all doing fine. Automated wires doing fine. Anyway. Things, high-speed connectors. Let's move you into the things and put you there. Smart plating is doing the thing already. So this is actually doing okay. It looks like we're doing the right conversion into ingots. That's all doing okay too. Yeah, this is I think this is looking pretty good. The copper I'm a little worried about, I think. What do we have? Oh, we cut back on copper for sure. Oh no, there's copper sheets, so that's but those are being taken care of here. So let's do that real quick, just to make sure that we have copper sheets being taken care of. No, that's fine. That was fine the way it was. So let's go through and I guess we will double check everything here, because this is looking like this is coming down to like final verdict, and this is not that bad at all. Like, I'm actually worried about how much copper this is using, because it looks way too low. It is. It's way too low. Okay. So let's double check numbers here. We got to make sure that everything is attached to everything, and this should be all of the non-iron products that we're looking at here. That should be done. So assembly director systems, it's a 1 to 1 for computers, 1 to 2 for adaptive control units. We know that's fine. This is a thing. So 75 supercomputers, which we're not even keeping track of because this is so close together that it doesn't matter. So this is equal to that. And computers is equal to 1.5 times that. That's perfect. Batteries, we're not even like really keeping track of, but we do have that many batteries. So this should honestly be like a thing with a color to help us keep track of it, because it matters like that. It doesn't really matter the other way. So we'll do that all light in light green to keep track of batteries. Adaptive control units is 150, so there we go. That's equal to that times that. We could make that smaller, but we don't need to. Automated wiring is that much. Perfect. Circuit boards are that much too. And that's all working okay. All this recipe stuff should actually be fine up here. I'm not too worried about all this number stuff going okay, because there should be nothing up here referencing each other. That's kind of what we need to double check, is that there's nothing up here that references anything else that's already up here, or at the very least, if there's stuff down here that takes care of that. So for everything up here, I should have another thing down here that takes care of that. So heavy modular frame should be down here in order to help handle this, because heavy modular frames are used up here. So I don't want any of that up here at all, because that's what we're looking into. That's what we're taking care of right now. In case plutonium cells, this is complex enough that I don't care if it's up there, but this could realistically go down another thing, because in case plutonium cells are used somewhere else, but we don't really see where that's used in the first place. But that's kind of fine up here. Uranium fuel rods, this is all, this is a complex thing. So all the yellow stuff definitely needs to be up here. Pressure conversion cubes need to be up here for sure. That's super easy to find out what we're using here. So, or actually, you know what I could do? I could have this go back down to 10. Or rather, I could do pressure conversion cubes here, pressure conversion cubes here, and then I could do this here for pressure conversion cubes. Just like this. Because radio, what else is using pressure? Nuclear pasta is. This uses pressure conversion cube. So I can have this equal that plus that, and do it this way. That's the better way to do this. And then have pressure conversion cubes equal this. Right, because now those equations still stand as well. And then this handled just like this, where this is equal to that. And now this can go away. And this can get put in here. Just like that. So there we go. Right, and then radio control units are referenced up here too, so I'm going to move these down, because that's something that I want to make sure is not up there. because radio control units are up here, just like this. So that's something that I want to keep track of. Fuse modular frames are big enough that they can stay up there. Okay with that. All this other stuff is already down on this row. That's okay. Thermoprop rockets and all this stuff stay up here for sure. Adaptive control units can stay up here for sure. That's a heavy enough item that it's okay. And then that's it. So all of this stuff up here, the fuse modular frames, that's here as well. Nothing up here for more fuse modular frames. That's just that one thing that's using them. Unless there's anything down here that uses them, which there should not be. Pressure conversion cubes do. Okay. So we'll put this down here because pressure conversion cubes and thermal prop rockets. Or actually, I can just fix it now. It's fine. The pressure conversion cubes are use how many fuse modular frames? Oh, why does it say that twice? What did I do? Okay. That's weird. Okay. That's fine. Nuclear pasta is just those two things, so that's good. And then let's go back to pressure conversion cubes and make sure that we have the ratio correct for these guys for how they use fuse modular frames. It is a 1-to-1, so that's good to know. So this is just equal to that. And radio control units are equal to that times 2, so that's good to know as well. Okay. And then this is already equal to that, so that's fantastic. Perfect. Is there any other radio control units? There should be nothing down here that uses radio control units. That's be doing a bad job if there was. So radio control units, that's all of them, and this is all of them too, so we're good. So that's taken care of. This is done. One of the things that I actually have been using is this organizational method of once something has been done and checked off, I highlighted that red color as like, this is done, everything's perfect, and I'm ready to move on to that next row. And so that's something that I think I'm gonna redo real quick, because that is a really awesome organizational method that I've been finding. So supercomputers and adaptive control units, these are already all equal. You know, that this is something taken care of. Basically, this is step 1. So this is equaling that, and that's perfect. Now, if I keep going with this, then supercomputers are matching here with electromagnetic control rods and the computers. So once I have those guys handled down here, then they can get checked off. Adaptive control units, I haven't handled any of this yet, so that's not going to get checked off because this matters. But this has been handled, right? And that has been handled, so that can be read. Adaptive control units, keep going with computers. I haven't handled that, and I haven't handled heavy modular frames yet, so that's not being handled yet. Thermal propulsion rockets, that's already handled. And fuse modular frames are about to be handled as well. But we haven't done that yet. We haven't done that yet. We haven't done that yet, so that has to stay. And then turbo motors we haven't done yet. Well, actually, turbo motors are pretty easy because this is just that. This is the only thing that uses turbo motors. So that can be done. And then this has to be handled its own way as well, between rotors, electromagnetic control rods, and all that. Copper powder is handled and has been handled. That's really easy. It's just down here for copper powder, 2000, and then that comes out to the number of ingots. So that's perfect. So that's done. And then pressure conversion cubes have been handled as well. We just did that one, right? So pressure conversion cubes are done. So this can be handled just like that. And then plutonium cells, this is something that's already handled, so that's good. And this has been handled, and this is the only thing that uses aluminum casing, at least I'm pretty sure. So that should be okay. We're all the way anyway. We're already down to ingots too, so that's good. This ingots is what I'm handling more, so that's totally fine. This has been handled. Those haven't, so we have to do that next. And radio control units look like they're done. So let's double check radio control units and make sure. So it's just those two. Yeah, radio control units. Yeah, perfect. So that's a thing. So that's done. And that means that this high-speed connectors are not done, and neither are heat sinks. So this needs to go back to black. But radio control units are good. which means that this can go red and that can go red. And fuse modular frames are not done yet, but we'll do that next to keep that red. So fuse modular frames, where is that? That's up here. So this is equal to that plus that, which should be the only two places using it. So that's good. I do need to check both rows real quick, but that is definitely correct. So perfect. Those are the only things using fuse modular frames. And heavy modular frames are not done yet, and aluminum gets to stay black. So let's do heavy modular frames, so that this can be equal to all the places that use it. Just double check everything. Down in this row, we're good. Heavy modular frames here, heavy modular frames here, and that's everything. So those are good, and those are good. So that can get checked off that way, and then heavy modular frames there can get checked off because that's been handled, and this has been handled. So we're chilling. Steel pipe is a big one. We're gonna skip that. The non-fissile uranium, I think this is something we get to skip too. I mean, we get to just check off. That's an easy one. In case uranium cells is easy, that's an easy one we can check off. The silica is doing its thing, but we'll do that last. The quick wire's got to get checked off. And then the heat sinks are doing their job, but that's over here, so we'll do that later. High-speed connectors are a thing. Let's check off this stuff up here and get this whole row done. Turbo motors we haven't finished yet, so let's get the crystal oscillators is easy too. I think that's actually, this is the only thing using crystal oscillators. That's super fast to just check that off. That's already red, so we'll undo this too, but this gets to stay red, and then the crystal oscillators is staying red too, because this is the only thing that uses them up here, is that we cut everything else out. So just gonna double check that, and that is correct. That's the only thing using crystal oscillators, so we only need to make 50 of them, so that's done and taken care of for the resources that matter. And then we'll do motors. That's gonna be a thing. So where are the motors? Motors are right here. So this needs to be equal to that and that, and any other place that's going to use motors, which it doesn't look like it. That's modular engines, and so this looks like that's everything that uses motors. All three of those places use motors. So let's go ahead and we can check those guys off now over here. So 1, 2, and 3, because we have all of those for the 265, which adds up. And then that can get checked, well, not completely checked off, but well, I guess we could. Yeah, that could get checked off, right? We did motors. All those equal the things that they're supposed to. So then stators, or let's just go up to rotors. So we'll do rotors next, right? So this is using rotors, this is using rotors, that's using rotors. Nothing else up here is using rotors. Nothing else over here is using rotors. So that looks like that's all correct and doing its thing. And this is, we're worried about steel on these rotors and stuff, so that's looking pretty good. So 750, wow, because yeah, those motors use a lot of rotors. I want to escape, thank you. Here we go. We'll do that, and we'll do that. 1, 2, 3, and where's the? There we go. Third. And that should be all of them. Perfect. Okay. And so next, let's do modular engines. That's easy. It's just 75. There's only 75 of them, so there we go. That works out just fine. And automated wiring is an easy one too. There's only that much, so let's get that one checked off. Get some fake progress. Computers is an easy one. There's only 2 places that use it, so we'll get that checked off. Fake progress. And cooling systems is an easy one because there's only those 90, so cooling systems. So there we go. More fake progress. We had to do nothing, but we checked it off the list like we did something, so there we go. Electromagnetic control rods, that's actually a big one. Let's make sure. So 1, 2, 3, that's big. And then are there anything over here? High-speed connectors, but not electromagnetic control rods. Yeah, so that's actually it. There we go. electromagnetic control rods. Finished. 1, 2, 3, all right there, coming together. So perfect. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Beautiful. AI limiters. 2. Those are the only things that use AI limiters, right? So there we go. Should be no AI limiters up here at all. Nothing over here. Nope. Silica, plenty of silica, but nope, no other AI limiters. So we get that checked off as well. And then stators is a pretty big one. We could get stators done real quick. So let's do that. This is stators here, stators there, stators there. Nothing up there, nothing up there, nothing over here. Yeah, there's a lot of those guys, but that is everything. So 1, 2, 3, or 3,000. Yeah, that makes sense. 3,000 stators. Goddamn. All right. And then steel pipe is another guy that we got to do. Smart plating. I think there's only 150 smart plating from the thing. Yeah, there. That's the only thing that uses smart plating is modular engine, so that's easy. That's some good fake progress too. Only thing that uses it. High-speed connectors, I guess, would do that. Is that the only thing that uses high speeds? You're kidding. Oh, that's easy. Okay. Cool. So this is the only thing that uses high-speed connectors. So that's pretty easy. That goes straight into Caterium and circuit boards and silica. So there we go. Silica is going to be a big one. There's a lot of silica. Like a lot of silica. 1, 2, 3. There's any silica up there? Nope. No silica up here. No silica over here. Oh, okay, wow. That's already all of the silica. All checked off. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Nice and easy. Okay, cool. That. Turbo motors. Whoops. We already checked off too, so there we go. Nice and easy. That leaves everything up here except circuit boards. So let's get that done real quick. So circuit boards are right here. So 1, 2, and that's all of them up top. We've got some more over here hiding, and that's it. That's all the circuit boards. So far it's looking like we did a lot of this right, which is surprising because of how tired I was, but oh, I'm just gonna undo that. That's faster. Oh, it's Sunday. It's time to take out the trash. Alrighty. So that's all. So top row is handled. There we go. Looking good, dude. Let's do this. We're chilling. Totally chilling. Quick wire. Let's get that done. Quick wire here. Quick wire there. That is all the quick wire. Beautiful. This is a surprisingly low amount of sulfur for everything that we had to use for this, but I think that's basically what we started with. I think this is more. What our plan before was for sulfur was to use 2,856 for nuclear. This is now a little bit over that. This is now 3,108. So a couple hundred more, but again, that's because we were making more plutonium fuel rods per minute. So if we had that down to 18.9, then that would bring down the sulfuric acid, but that's not going to show because I didn't make that an equation. Ah, fun. Okay. It won't tell me how much because I didn't make it an equation, which is fine because it's a complete, and I didn't do that because it's a completely different recipe. That's why I didn't do that. In order to make 18.9, it's a completely different recipe, and it would make 756 sulfuric acid. So do you know that? Okay, so yeah, we're almost done. We gotta do a couple more things, then we're checking some stuff off, and we should be good. Man, it only took like 12 hours to do this, but awesome. We had to talk to some people too, but we spent a couple days doing a lot of the other stuff that I should have done this first. If I was gonna do this first. Don't do it the other way that I saw that I was doing it. This is way better to do this method first with all the equations than to like do everything by hand. I spent so much time typing in fucking calculations and guessing and all this stuff, and it was a nightmare. So this is way better. Heat sinks. Yeah, let's get heat sinks down. So we got heat sinks here, and heat sinks here. Okay, perfect. That's a thing. You and you and you. Now we do have to look into heat sinks and see about using less of them, because this is using too much rubber. So that's going to be a thing. So we're not out of the woods yet with that, but we do need to keep an eye on it. Encased industrial beam is equal to this, which is awesome. That's the only encased industrial beam, so that's perfect. And then this can go away. So there we go. Encased industrial beam, encased industrial beam, and steel pipe is the savior of all this. I mean, holy shit, this is so much. So steel pipe, steel pipe, steel pipe, steel pipe. There we go. Okay, perfect. That's all doing great, actually. So let's go ahead and get all the steel pipe checked off. Steel pipe, steel pipe, pipe. Oh wait, hold on. There's 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did it get all of them? It did. Okay, cool. We're chilling. Chilling. And copper sheets. This is the only copper sheet, I guess. Yep, that's the only copper sheets. So that's perfect. So that won't save me a lot of caterium if I have to, I mean a lot of copper rather, if I have to go the other way around here. And silica we did, so that's chilling. We can check that one off. Yeah, that's everything. So this is everything that it would take that matters. Obviously it's not the iron. Assembly directors, thermoprop rockets, uranium fuel rods, nuclear pasta, and plutonium rods. This is everything. Everything that matters, which is quartz, copper, rubber, plastic, and aluminum, and coal. And this is plenty. That's perfect, because we have all this stuff for the max amount in the game. So let's grab this real quick. And so iron we're not worried about because we have a fuckload. Copper is more over like here. So here we go for copper. Let's take you and put you there for copper. And then caterium. Caterium, you, and you. So this is totally fine. Oh wait, is that's 43,449 caterium ingots. Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ. Hold on. Why do I have so much quick wire? That's a fuckload of quick wire for, oh, it's all the AI limiters. That's okay. Yeah, this is where we're gonna have some balance issues. So we're gonna have to work on this. So coal, aluminum, I have up to 10,400 aluminum ingots at the moment, so I can always reduce that. The plastic is something that I can try to handle as best I can, but we're gonna try to not worry too much about that at the moment, because it's just a little bit less power, and we'll probably end up using plutonium power, so it won't be that big a deal. And then that is within the realm of possibility for quartz, so that's good too. So that's all of the quartz. Yep, that's all of the quartz. So that is within the realm of possibility. Aluminum ingots, that is within the realm of possibility, because this is now not a thing. So let me copy this and then cut this to here, and then we'll get rid of that. This is now everything, so that is within the realm of possibility as well. So that's okay. And then we've got coal, and then we've got the caterium, which is way too much. This is way too much. Like, that's well above. And so far, that's all because of quick-wire. That is 100% because of quick-wire. That's just too much quick-wire. And that's even using the... It should be using the copper quick-wire thing. But... Oh, see, copper sheets is not a thing. We're not adding copper sheets. No, 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 no. That's no. Oops, I forgot the equal sign. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Yeah, totally fine. So we have a fuckload more copper. Fuckload more copper. So this is just equal to that divided by 2 because we're using the washing method. So this is only 12,000 copper ore. That is very doable. Very, very doable. We need to check the circuit board so to make sure that that is actually copper ingots and not copper ore. Which would actually be a good thing if it was copper ore and not copper ingots. So let's make sure that this is copper ingots real quick. And we'll double check that. So this is, we're checking circuit boards for the copper sheeting. So that is, oh, it's not gonna be the same amount because this is for, this should go into silica, by the way. If I'm gonna do this correctly, this should 100% go into silica, and then this should go into copper sheets as well. So let's do this the right way, and we'll redo this for silica like this, and we'll redo this for copper sheets like this. So circuit boards, we're making 3,600 and Jesus Christ, 3,684.6 fucking circuit boards per minute. That's ludicrous. And then that's divided by 12.5 times 27.5, which means yeah, actually we'll just do this, right? It'll be equal to this that divided by 12.5 times 27.5, and that's going to be the same number for both of those, right? To do that, so perfect. And then copper sheets just has to equal this, or rather that plus that, and then silica now needs to add that to there, and so that'll get the quartz up the way it needs to, which is now 17,000 raw quartz. Are you kidding me? Oh, because it's adding this for the silica, so that doesn't need to add that anymore. And that purple one can go away as well. So now it's just these three, which is back to what we had before, so that's good. Copper sheets working out okay. That's working out okay. So that's now better. That's good. So this was wrong, which is good to know. Which now puts us up to 22,984 copper ore, which is definitely closer to what I was expecting. That was definitely wrong. And we have way too much Caterium. So let's check. Let's look at Quickwire. Like, how is that a thing? Right? Like, there's no way that that's the recipe, because it should be Caterium ingots and copper ingots. That should be the recipe, right? So we're gonna copy this here because we should be getting copper ingots. And this Caterium ingots, this is equal to that times 1.667. There's no, like, that's not the right thing, right? So this is equal to this number divided by 90 times 7.5. That is the equation for that. So that is way more manageable. It's only 5,800 Caterium, which is correct. But this is unfortunately equal to this number divided by 90 times 37.5, which is a lot more copper ingots, which means that we are now running quickly out of copper. But this blue number is wrong. That is adding copper sheets, so we don't need that. That's bad. So now that's manageable. This is good. That's good. Perfect. Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. So that is a reasonable amount of Caterium to the fact that we may not even need to wash it to use that, which means less water, which is great. I would love to have less water. The coal is working out fantastic because that's just steel pipe. We do have to have some steel beams in the next area, so that coal is going to go up a bit, but we have a good amount of coal to work with, so I'm not too worried about that. We can go all the way up to 36,000, so because that'll just be making for the other frame kind of thing. So this is looking okay. We're doing good on copper. We're doing good on Caterium. We're doing good on coal. We're doing good on aluminum. We're a little high on rubber and plastic, and we're doing good on quartz. So it's rubber that's the main offender, and that is absolutely heat sinks. Heat sinks are the main offender for rubber, 100%. So I need to use as many alternates for heat sinks as possible. which means finding out what's using heat sinks, which is the cooling systems and the radio control units. So that is the thing. The cooling systems can't get around it. They have to use heat sinks. I can double check that right now, but cooling systems should have guaranteed heat sinks, right? Yeah, no matter what, heat sinks. This obviously this doesn't use any rubber, so this is why we're using the alternate. That's just better. I don't want to use more rubber, so fuck that. The next thing is radio control units, and that is if I don't use heat sinks, I have to use crystal oscillators and I have to use aluminum, and it basically means this method here. I have to make more computers, and I have to make more aluminum casing, and I have to make crystal oscillators, which means running out of basically completely out of quartz. That is what this would basically would mean. That if I don't use that rubber, I am essentially going to completely run out of quartz. Because if I load up that alternate here, let's put this here, and I'll put it in blue ink so that we know this is the alternate as the other option. It would be the same number of radio control units. I can't get around how many of those I have to make, but I can get around what I'm using in that, which would be half of crystal oscillators. So that divided by 2 for, oh, whoops. That would go there. That would go there for crystal oscillators. Triox. And then we have aluminum casings, which is a good amount. And then we have half for computers as well. So computer would be equal to that divided by 2, and aluminum casings would be equal to and you know, I might just go straight to aluminum ingots as well, but anyway, so this would be equal to that divided by 2, whoops, divided by 2 times 32, which is a lot of aluminum casings. That goes into a couple thousand more aluminum ingots. So this is why I did what I did. And it's actually more rubber to use the radio control systems that way. Because if you want to look at how much rubber I'm using right now versus how much rubber that would take, it would still be the 154.8 divided by 4.5 times 45. So it's, oh, that's less rubber. Really? Oh, that's half the rubber. And less aluminum, I think. So that is less rubber. That's interesting. That's viable. And it's way less crystal oscillators, which is less quartz, which I'm running out of. And it's no computers. But it would be a third of that in circuit boards. But 74 computers is going to take 740 circuit boards. So 10 times that, 770 circuit boards. So 770 circuit boards instead of 4.5, or rather 154.8 divided by 3.75, which is that times 15. That's less circuit boards, it's less rubber, it's less aluminum, and it's less crystal oscillators. I might have been completely overlooking that alternate. That looks fantastic. Okay, we'll have to write that one down too. But here we go. So this is going to be equal to, oh, perfect. That's how many aluminum ingots. This is another 3,000 aluminum ingots. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Okay, so this is the green one. We'll put this in green. Green, orange. Bright red. Bright red. So this one, we need to write down the names. This is the radio control system. This is the standard radio control unit. This is, I'll just put standard. And then this one is the radio connection unit. We'll compare all of these together. So this is going to equal that, and then crystal oscillators is like a third, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's a third. That divided by 3. So way less crystal oscillators than the last one. Fantastic. And then the computers is completely gone, because this is just circuit boards. And then this is equal to that divided by 3 times 10. So yeah. Oh, dude, that's way less than I thought. Way less than I thought. Okay, that's awesome. And then aluminum casing is still a thing, but it's less. So it's going to be equal to that number divided by 3 times 60. So, oh, it's more aluminum casing. Why is it more? I didn't realize there was more aluminum casing. Oh, because this is 20 each. That's 16 each. So it is more aluminum, which I don't have. That's why. That's okay. But it's less rubber. It's way more aluminum, but there's also way less rubber, which was equal to times 10. So this doesn't use any aluminum right now, but it uses twice as about twice that rubber and rubber. Or actually, no, the heat sinks do use aluminum. So right now this is using a decent amount. So I'll have to compare that later, because this is important. This is a pretty big decision here. So we might have to do a mix, but this is a lot more aluminum than what I'm currently using. A lot more aluminum. I do technically have it. There's a good. I do kind of have it. So it's not the worst thing, but it means no turbo fuel. And I think I think that's going to be more important, because I'm running. I'm too high on something. I'm too high. Thank you. I'm too high on what? Rubber. I'm too high on rubber, and I'm too. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm just too high on rubber. So I have to get the rubber down, which means less heat sink. So that's kind of has to happen. And then the other thing that used heat sinks was cooling systems, which I can't get around. So I have to pick between the lesser of two evils here. That's not really an option. I have to pick one of those two. This isn't going to work. Anyway, that's going to do it. We have to call that a day. So everyone get the fuck out. Have a good day. All that jazz. Thank you for coming by. And for those of you that watch the channel a lot, you're going to be realizing that we have a lot of hours of content. Because we streamed a lot today, which is way too much than we should have. Way more than we should have, but that's okay. Because this was a very productive and fun day. So we're going to continue that work. I'll go ahead and finish that off stream and not stream that with you guys. I'll come to that conclusion myself. I'll get all this figured out, and the next time that I stream, it will be showing you the results. So take the next couple days to watch the 13 hours of content that we put out for you guys today. Get caught up, and then in the next day or two, I'll get back online and we'll talk about the save, show the rest of the numbers, including the iron and everything like that, and then get down to it and show you guys what's going to be going down. So if you guys watch this stream and you're done with it, made it to the end of the 2 hours, go check out the rest of the content, because I'm not going to be on for a couple more days. So we binged a bunch today. You guys can binge my content the next couple days too, and then when you guys are probably through all this content, we'll have some more stuff up and running. So, let me know if you guys have any ideas or questions. I'll be looking at the Discord the next couple days while I do all this stuff. And if you have a good question, I'll reply to you on Discord, or I'll say that we'll do it in the next stream, and we'll do a Q&A on this save file in the next stream as well. So, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.